Amanda versus Julianna. Where should we begin? To put the appropriate amount of praise on Amanda coming into this fight as the reigning 45-pound world champion who's going down a weight to reclaim what was once hers against the only kryptonite that she's ever found. To put praise on her that would be enough, even in that circumstance, was tough. We all have a hard time, including you guys, right? We say things that it's the strongest words we know. She's the best. She's the GOAT. She's the all-time. We do the best we can, but the words to describe the effectiveness, physically and now proven mentally, of Amanda, it's tough. The appropriate words are almost not created yet. What Amanda walked into tonight, okay? I made a prediction for you that she was going to lose the fight. And I made the prediction based on the fact of being a competitor and just sharing with you guys there's a massive difference when you're beaten. When strategies or skills overcome your strategies or skills, that is very different in a rematch setting than breaking mentally. The audience sees the physical, and that's all that the audience sees. That's all the announcers see. The locker room and the fellow athletes see the mental. For Amanda to come back with the spirit that she had, guys, partway through this fight, she was smiling. She was not laughing at Julianna. She was not being arrogant to the crowd. She was in a dogfight, but she was enjoying it. That's different. There's a rule in fighting. Now, Max Kellerman taught me this many, many years ago. And Max was just getting into MMA, but he's the aficionado in boxing. And Max simply told me, if a younger fighter stops an older fighter and they rematch, the younger fighter will stop him again, only quicker. Now, that was roughly 2012 when he told me that. It could have been 2010. I didn't go back in time, but I did sure pay attention moving forward. And I have not seen, I am not aware of a time when that expression did not hold true until tonight. Until tonight. And I say that to try to add to the praise of Amanda, because this was mental. Amanda didn't do anything tonight physically that was a whole lot different than the 7 minutes prior. She threw left hands, she threw right hands, she moved her feet a little bit. Now, the takedowns were on point. Working off her back and to finish some of those submissions. We had a San Umaplata that was almost close a couple times, never to a submission, but there was potential there. There was opportunity for perhaps a reversal, which getting Julianna on top would have been very interesting. Would have liked to have seen that. But Julianna's greatest opportunity was to break Amanda. Her greatest opportunity is to go out there, hit her hard, hit her fast, right away, reinforce any doubts that Amanda has. And no matter how great the Lioness is, she's a human being. She had doubt. It doesn't matter how she trained, doesn't matter how she prepared, who she did it with, or what she said in the pre-fight speech. She had doubt because she's a human. And Julianna needed to get on her and start pushing those lungs. The lungs will control the mind. Believe me, when you get tired, your goals will change quickly. They will go from I'm going to stop this guy to I'm going to get to a decision. So I'm not even going to win the fight all the way down to I'm going to get out of here the first opportunity it has. The more tired you get, the more your mind will change right there in the spot. Amanda did the opposite. Amanda refused to go on top of Julianna. Now, I thought that was a mistake. There's a belief in this sport, and it only comes from the boxing community. The only people that get, but every team now has a boxing coach. Every team now has a kickboxing coach. That's a loud voice in the room. But it only comes from them that if you hurt somebody and they go down, let them back up. That is not a good idea. And if you've ever followed this sport, and don't tell me from 93 to 1997, okay? Post then, if you followed it in the modern era, that is a ridiculously bad strategy. If you hurt somebody and they go down, you get on top of them right now. You don't let them come up when they're wild and furious and they're fighting because they're a caged animal that's backed into a corner. You smother them and you pound them and you keep them there. But Amanda didn't do that. She let her up not once, not twice, but 3 times. It was a mistake. It was an error. She didn't pay for it. She didn't pay for it. But she obviously later in the fight agrees because she started taking the fight there. She started going for those takedowns that were impressive. To slip, to take somebody, no. Amanda found her range. She changed elevation and she blasted her. A lot of wrestlers come over the sport, they can't get a takedown. In wrestling, you wrestle, you attack to your opponent. If your opponent is standing in place, you attack to it. If his foot never moves, you attack to the foot. You don't ever have to move the foot, you drag him down to the mat. In MMA, to wrestle, you've got to go through them. If your opponent's feet are right here, you hit them and you knock them backwards. You have to go through the opponent. That's what Amanda did. That was a significant difference of why Julianna, the wrestler, never got on top and why Amanda did with each takedown that she got. One wrestled to the opponent and one wrestled through. Very important that you see that, because if you are a future opponent of Amanda Nunes, you got a lot of things to worry about. Can we agree on that? You're going to have to deal with that right hand. You're going to have to deal with that experience. You're going to have to deal with those lungs. Now you got to deal with the takedowns. Who knew that? I mean, who knew that that was the way to deal with Amanda? Who knew that that was one more ring? Very impressive, guys. It was wildly impressive. Amanda ends up in the same spot. In terms of what do you do now? Julianna was such a wonderful opponent. She really was. The best situation for these girls is to agree we're one apiece, let's go to part 3. One thing that Amanda did very, very well, and she captivated a lot of you, she put her excuse out to the public. And guys, she spread it, I mean, she had COVID. During a pandemic, right? A lot of people, she had COVID. She had a knee that was hurt. She had a gym that was holding her back. She had a girl at her gym named Kayla Harrison that was getting attacked. I mean, in all fairness, she put her excuse out. Boy, a lot of people listened to it. Got her an opportunity, sold herself an idea. And I only bring that to you because if Julianna Pena, you want to know what's next for either one of them that anyone gives a goddamn about? And for Amanda, you got 2 weight classes to spread. You still don't have the answer. And if you do come up with it, it's not one that you care about. It's not one that's going to be bankable. It's not one that's going to be at the end of the night. Best case scenario for these two is to realize we're opponents, we're competitors, and we're partners. I beat you, you had excuses. Now let me lay out my laundry list. And go into part 3. And guys, I understand that's not a perfect world. I'm sharing for you the best scenario because it's always been this problem. With Amanda is what do we do? Who's next? You've proven that you're so doggone good. It's an interesting thing for Julianna as well. If Amanda said, here's the 35-pound belt, take it back, I'm never coming back, I'm going to 45, we're having a different conversation. But it doesn't appear that that's what we're going to do. So now you do start having meaningful conversations with the bullet of, hey, you said you're coming to 35. You said that you could do this. How about now? It's one of those things. The iron is hot right now to call out Amanda and be the one to do it. For many years, whether it was Amanda or Cyborg, for many years, if we had a person that could fog a mirror and had access to something called the World Wide Web, they could become the number 1 contender. Now, disappointingly, and I've got my phone right down here, disappointingly, I'm very confident in telling you, nobody's done that. Nobody at 45 or 35 has called out Amanda. And they won't. So what do? If you're the lioness and you're a prize fighter and you'd like to make some money, but you got to get some attention, which means you have to have a worthy opponent, you got to build Julianna back up. That's my opinion. You got 1 stoppage, you got 1 decision, both incredible fights, you go to the trilogy. Tough sell. A little bit. When you have a 25-minute contest, all 5 rounds are completed, and you won all 5 rounds, and possibly even a 10-8, I have to go check those scores. What do? But if you have a better idea, I'm all ears.